the heart. You're watching WBIR-TV, Channel 10, Knoxville. As the Action 10 News Skylink tour travels northeast to Greenville. This is a special edition of Action 10 News.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Greeneville, Tennessee, one of the oldest cities in Tennessee.
This is the first stop on Action 10's three-city Skylink tour this summer, and what a great place to get everything started.
Absolutely, this town is just full of history. For example, the cabin behind us, a portion of it, was built in 1793. That's 3 years before Tennessee even became a state.
The cabin was moved to this site on Main Street in 1965, and it's just one example of Greenville's incredible history. Coming up, we'll take a look at some of the other historic sites in Greeneville, Tennessee, and the town's efforts to preserve its heritage. And we'll take a look ahead to the future. More than a dozen Fortune 500 companies are here. We'll find out the secret of their success.
Also coming up, the people of Greenville and the bond that reinforces their community. And finally, the special chance to perform in the oldest organ in Tennessee. One of the reasons we chose Greenville to start the Skylink tour was because of the city's apparent success in attracting industry. It's something, of course, that all communities work very hard at doing, but as Ken Schwall reports, Greenville seems to have found the secret.
Televisions. They roll out of this Greenville plant at the rate of 10,000 a day, all makes and models. Philips Consumer Electronics employs nearly 4,000 people. It's the kind of high-tech industry that the city has worked long and hard to attract, and it's been successful. In fact, 14 Fortune 500 companies have plants here. The people who work to attract industry to Greenville say that, oddly enough, the area's biggest asset may be its agricultural heritage.
The people here are used to working 12 hours a day. In fact, it's not unusual for an employee to work his 8 hours at the plant and go back and work another 8 hours on the farm. So when you get that kind of worker with a mechanical ability and just show up on time and not miss work, you get more than just a body. You're getting, a real employee.
But not all of Greenville's industries are from out of town. In fact, one of the city's largest and oldest employers is homegrown and proud of it. This is Mako. 700 people work here, making barbecue grills and casual furniture that's sold in major retail outlets all over the country.
I've worked here 13 years and never been laid off.
City leaders say they plan to continue making Greenville an attractive place for industry to locate and to expand. Ken Schwall, Action 10 News.
In addition to hard-working people, Greenville also offers industries high-tech training and retraining programs. It also offers extended daycare through the local school system, and it offers daycare for sick children through the local hospital.
And another interesting thing about this lovely place, 80% of the pennies produced in this country start out right here in Greenville, Tennessee. The Ball Zinc Company grinds out copper-plated zinc blanks that the U.S. Mint eventually makes into pennies. The plant produces 22,000 blanks a minute. That adds up to a whopping 63 million a day. Talk about counting your pennies.
I'd say that's a lot of pennies to
Oh,
count.
it certainly is.
Of course, another very important thing about Greenville is the people.
Absolutely. There is a very strong sense of community here, and Janice Williamson is at one of Greenville's historic homes to tell us more. Janice?
Edie, I'm at Harmony House. It was built in 1851. Now, the man who lives here has literally spent years filling it up with generations of family heirlooms. And his family is just one of many in this area who have called Greenville home for decades. Coming up, we're going to meet some of those very special people and take a look at their efforts to preserve their past.
In fact, the man that Janice is talking about is Mr. Richard Dowdy. Now, not only is he familiar, of course, with his own heritage, but he's very familiar with the heritage and the history of Greenville.
Oh, he is, Bill, and throughout our show, Mr. Dowdy is going to take us on a walking tour of Greenville, beginning with one of the homes owned by President Andrew Johnson.
We're standing in the garden of Andrew Johnson's second home, which was purchased in the 1830s. This home and the tailor shop saw much of Johnson's meteoric career and his literally Horatio Alger story from rags to riches.
Total shopping value. It's Food City's new motto, but it's not a new idea. Food City has been delivering total shopping value every day since it began business in Greenville 71 years ago.
Food City is proud to be a part of the rich history of Greenville. Davy Crockett was born near this frontier town. Greenville was President Andrew Johnson's home. And in 1918, what was to become Food City went into business here. Through the years, the people of Greenville have been a vital part of Food City. As employees and as customers, they have been a source of traditional values, of hard work, honesty, and dedication. Total shopping value may be our new motto, but the idea is as old as Greenville itself. Even though Food City has since grown to include stores throughout East Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, Greenville will always hold a special place in our family.
Hello, we're back live via Skylink in Greeneville, Tennessee, a town full of history and a town with quite a future.
As we've been saying, the people here in Greenville certainly have a strong bond with their past, and Janice Williamson has been spending some time getting acquainted with the people of Greenville and is on Main Street to tell us more.
Well, Bill, as you leave Harmony House and take a walk along Main Street, it's easy to see why the historical background of this town has such a strong foundation. The homes of people like Andrew Johnson are still standing after more than 150 years. The reasons are in a family tradition of remembering the past and preserving it for the future.
This is the campaign button that we believe belonged to Andrew Johnson.
Ralph Finney and Joe Rawson are working to preserve the personal history of this country's 17th president and Greenville's first family. To Rawson, it's his life work, but to Finney, it's a matter of family. You see, his first cousin is the great-granddaughter of Andrew Johnson, and Finney says it's up to him to take care of more than 100 years of Johnson family history.
Johnson here in his own adopted state and hometown was certainly pretty much the man without honor in his state, his own country. Not a very popular man.
But he and Rawson are hoping what they found will help rewrite history.
I think the Johnson family was very aware of the historical record. They realized that they had things that were important to our history, and they safeguarded them.
Joe Rawson has uncovered everything from tickets to Johnson's own impeachment hearings to a handwritten scroll of an address delivered at the time of Abraham Lincoln's death.
There's no state has the constitutional power to secede from the Union.
Also packed away was one of the president's speeches, a silk top hat, and 2 silver cups, all part of a legacy that began 163 years ago and still lives on today. Now, another longtime Greenville family can't boast a U.S. president, but it can certainly be proud of a century-long tradition that started right here. Since 1880, the Jenkins family have restored shoes. Father and son work side by side, practicing an age-old craft to keep today's generation on its feet.
My grandfather told me as a child, he said, "Now listen, buddy," he said, "the good Lord gave you 2 hands, says learn to use them and do different things." And that's what I tried to do.
Now, it's obvious that Mr. Jenkins and his family have done that and done it quite well. They are a fixture in Greenville and one of many families here that make this town so unique.
Thank you, Janice. Well, certainly the people of Greenville have good reason to be proud of their past and their town's rich history. Tonight, Action 10's Paul Sims takes a look at what many hope will become a centerpiece for that rich history.
Brick by brick, Joel Britton and Mike Wilkerson are piecing together a page of Greenville history, renovating the old Dixon Williams mansion.
Yeah, we're trying to give it the old look that it had during the time it was built. It's a job. It has been so far.
William Dixon built this place for his daughter Catherine 174 years ago. Back in 1815, it was a spectacular showplace. President Andrew Jackson often stopped by on his way from Nashville to the nation's capital. And Davy Crockett was a frequent guest.
Every time somebody of importance came through Greenville, they always stayed at the Williams home.
Confederate General John Morgan was killed by Union soldiers here. Wooden rafters in the basement are still charred, where they later tried to burn the house down. But it survived the Civil War, only to have its treasures abused and forgotten the last 100 years. A rare 3-story staircase, and age-old graffiti on an attic wall. are patiently waiting to tell their story to a new generation.
Signed December 11th, 1885.
Maybe 50 years down the road, if I'm still living at the time, I can look back at my grandchildren and say, look, that's what, grandfather had to go back and try to help restore that thing.
It was the showplace of East Tennessee, and it will be again.
Paul Sims, Action 10 News.
The Dixon Williams Mansion is scheduled to be completed by Christmas of 1990. All the work is being paid for by private donations.
And just outside of Greenville, another piece of history is being preserved, the birthplace of Davy Crockett. It was on August 17, 1786, when the king of the wild frontier was born near Limestone, Tennessee. Crockett went on to the state legislature, later died at the Alamo, helping Texas win its independence from Mexico. Visitors to the birth site can enjoy plenty of Crockett stories as well as picnic and camping facilities.
Well, the town of Greenville was first settled back in 1783 around an area called the Big Spring. A little earlier in our show, Janice Williamson showed us the historic Harmony House. Well, just behind that house, both Union and Confederate soldiers camped out in that area during the Civil War. It's really...
And the mistress of the house at the time, Mrs. William A. Harmon, sort of a grandmotherly type, she took pity on these young 15 and 16-year-old soldiers, whether they be Confederate or Union, used to bake cookies and take them out to the soldiers out there. And Margie Eisen is standing by right now, overlooking that very area where the soldiers were billeted.
And you know, it's a beautiful area. As you'll see behind me, everything is very green, and there's a good reason. Been lots and lots of rain here in this area. In fact, the rain has finally diminished a little, but we can hear thunder off to the distance. So more showers in the forecast. And back to Bill and Edie, and I'll be back in a few moments to give you your complete weekend forecast.
All right, Margie does have the forecast coming up next.
And a little later, the sounds of the oldest pipe organ in Tennessee.
If you come downtown, there's a great deal to see from various aspects, particularly architecture. Quite a few in this block have been refurbished by lawyers. In fact, we popularly call this Lawyers Row in Greenville.
All right, thank you, Margie.
Today's stop in Greenville is just the first of 3 stops on Action 10's Summer Skylink Tour. Next Friday, we'll be in Middlesboro, Kentucky. The town that once depended on coal is discovering new resources for its future. That's 1 week from today. Then in 2 weeks, we're off to Athens, Tennessee, the friendly city of Tennessee.
Coming up next, Bob Kessling joins us for sports.
And he'll tell us how one Lady Vol became the pride of Greenville.
The state of Franklin was a unique experiment in political democracy. Meeting in convention in Jonesboro, the state was formed, John Sevier was elected the governor, and the next year Greenville became its capital and remained such until the demise of Franklin in 1788.
Okay, Bob Kessling is with us, and boy, do we have a famous person from Greenville to talk about.
Yeah, she's also kind of spilled over to Knoxville a little bit, too. Of course, South Green is in Greenville, very proud of its women's basketball team. South Green won a couple of state championships a couple of years ago. Debbie Hawhey was a key member of that team. She not only took the success from Greenville with her here and is very much proud to be a part of Greenville, she also took that success with her to the University of Tennessee.
This year's NCAA basketball title for the Tennessee Lady Vols was an accomplishment that many players strive for, but very seldom achieve. For Greenville's Debbie Hawhey, it was just business as usual. For the 3rd straight year, Hawhey played on a championship team.
Most people agree that Andrew Johnson is the most famous person to come from Greenville. But at least for the moment, he's sharing the celebrity spotlight in this town with Debbie Hawhey.
Debbie Hawhey's a basketball legend in Greenville. She led the South Green Rebels to back-to-back state titles in 1987 and 1988, and she was the AA Player of the Year in Tennessee in 1988. Then last year, as a freshman, she helped the Tennessee Lady Vols win the national championship. This is a record that would make Magic Johnson and Larry Bird envious.
When I came here today, I was in Coach's office, and Coach Ricker, and he got out some old newspaper clippings, and we were looking at those, and he said, I just can't believe what we did here. And I said, I know, it's great, and it's great to have that as a part of my past. It's some terrific memories.
Debbie Hawhey's special, and she's proud to be from South Green High School. She can be seen in the gym these summer days working out with next year's edition of the Rebels,
lending experience and encouragement.
She's a great basketball player, and she'll help you out just whatever she can to do to help you, and not only just in basketball, but off the court, too.
Debbie's just a super person, and she works really hard, and she motivates the rest of the team, too.
I come out here to practice some, and part of it is to keep me in shape, and I help. There's some young players here that have some promise, and I come out here to help them and, you know, give them some competition and maybe give them some pointers. So it's probably for them mostly.
For Debbie Hawhey, the hard work paid off with 2 state championships at South Green and 1 national title at Tennessee. She takes pride in what she and her teammates accomplished with the Rebels at South Green.
It's good to come home to Greene County, and I think this is a great place to live, and the support around here is tremendous for girls basketball, and that really makes it special.
Debbie Hawhey, one of the South Green and Greenville's finest. And Lady Vols announced today not only they're going to host the 1990 Final Four, they also got the 1991 Mid-East Regional.
With us now is the Greenville Mayor, Mr. Thomas Love. Mr. Love, we do want to thank you for the hospitality that you and your community have shown us. We really appreciate it. We felt very welcome here.
Bob, Bill, you're quite welcome. It's certainly good to have Bob, Edie, Margie, and you here in Greenville. We're certainly glad that you chose Greenville as your first stop. A mayor can do about anything except call for sunshine. I hate we had the rain, but anyway, we had a good time, and we thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Love. We appreciate it.
When we come back, a final look at Greenville.
We're standing at the old Greene County Jail, which has been the site of a jail since 1805. It has served as Greenville and Greene County's jail for many, many years, and now we consider it one of our prime historic spots.
Total shopping value. It's Food City's new motto, but it's not a new idea. Food City has been delivering total shopping value every day since it began business in Greenville 71 years ago.
Food City is proud to be a part of the rich history of Greenville. Davy Crockett was born near this frontier town. Greenville was President Andrew Johnson's home, and in 1918, what was to become Food City went into business here. Through the years, the people of Greenville have been a vital part of Food City. As employees and as customers, they have been a source of traditional values, of hard work, honesty, and dedication. Total shopping value may be our new motto, but the idea is as old as Greenville itself. Even though Food City has since grown to include stores throughout East Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, Greenville will always hold a special place in our family.
Another important part of Greenville's heritage is its churches. 3 church buildings within 3 blocks of each other date back to the 1840s and the 1850s. That's before the Civil War, so these buildings have seen a lot of history. And the church's congregations have been made up of the same families for just about as many years. Just one more example of the bond that makes Greenville so special.
And one of those churches is the home of Tennessee's oldest organ. The organ was carted across the mountains from South Carolina back in 1850 and is still in use at the St. James Episcopal Church. Now, I had a chance a couple of days ago to play that organ. Photographer Jerry Owens added some scenes of Greenville to the music and came up with this photographic essay. Our final look tonight at a fascinating city.
The Skylink Tour of Action 10 News, live via satellite from downtown Greenville, has been brought to you by your friends at Food City.